Hey guys, Scott here with SJC Fit. So today is Movement Tuesday. So in today's movement, we're going to go ahead and cover the very basic air squat. So now the air squat is great because one, you can do this at the comfort of your own home. Two, you don't need gym equipment. And three, it can be incorporated really to any type of workout. It's probably one of the biggest staples of a leg day is the squat. But in today's example, we're just going to be doing a body air squat just for the sake of lack of equipment that you might have, or the sake of the fact that you want to do this at home. So that's totally fine too. And that's really what most of these videos and a lot of my workouts base around. Workouts that can be done at your own home, usually Tabata style or HIIT style. So in this movement, we're going to go ahead and cover some basics. So first off, what I'd like to go over is the basic bottom to the top. So as we're going to come up, basically an air squat, if you don't remember what an air squat is a fully standing position, hips fully extended, into a squat, or like if you were to sit into a chair and then you'd be coming right back up. That's a simple air squat. Works the quadriceps, works the hamstrings, it works your glutes, and it should work a little bit of your core too. And we'll go over that in a little bit. So first off, let's start with the stance. So some movement standards that we should be covering here. So with your feet, what I like to see, a lot of my clients will do this incorrectly, and that's totally fine, but it's time that we go ahead and just tweak it a little bit so that we can prevent injury. So in this stance, I like your feet to be shoulder width apart, and I want your feet to be slightly, have slight external rotation. So as you're standing, I'd like you to rotate those feet out. So what that means is, instead of keeping your feet absolutely straight, I'd like to see your feet slightly rotated out. So your feet should be almost like a pizza, I guess you could say. So as you're coming down, when you come down into this squat, I'd like those knees to go ahead and follow the track of your foot. So what that means is, as you're coming down, I want those knees to go out right along your feet. So if your feet are going out this direction, I want your knees to go out this direction. So a big no-no that we see a lot of the time in squats that actually causes a lot of injuries, a lot of tears in your ACL, MCL, is when they come down into the squat, they let their knees cave in. And they try to stand up in this position, and what that does is it puts a lot of strain on those ligaments in your knee. And we don't want that to happen. Because a lot of the times, if you do this enough, or you have enough weight on, or if you're just doing so many of these body air squats, you could put a lot of strain on that knee and maybe cause a ligament to tear, and we don't want that. So as you're coming down, really think about driving those, well, first off, keeping those knees over your toes and in the same direction of your feet. And I want you to think, don't fall into your toes, fall into your heels. So what that means is, if you were to be able to sit back into your heels, you should be able to wiggle your toes a little bit. If you're totally in your toes, and you find yourself in this position and you can't really wiggle your toes, go ahead and stand up just slightly. We'll work on the depth over time, but what that means is your depth, probably if you're right here and you're really far forward, it's probably because you don't have that mobility quite yet, and we'll get there. So try to pull yourself up a little bit higher instead and work on just getting that mobility as far down as you can, as long as you're into those heels. As you're coming down, think about forcing those knees out as you come up. Really think about keeping those knees from caving in. That's something that's really important on the way up. So, standing from a side position, now we're going to work on what happens with your upper body. In this squat, so as you're coming down, what I like to see, a lot of people will do this as well, and this is totally fine. As they're coming down, they're putting a lot of weight in their toes. So what happens is that puts a lot of weight on your lower back. So when you're coming up, your back gets to this point and then has to come back up. It's a lot of strain on your back. This is really a leg workout. It's not a back workout. We don't want to blow a disc or anything like that. So as you're coming down, try to keep that core tight, the chest up, find a focal point And as you come up, I want everything to come up at the same time. So, another thing that I see people do, and what I like to call this is the stripper pole, is when they come down in those heels, and they come into the toes, their back is stronger than their legs sometimes, and so what they do is they push their butt up, and then they stand themselves up. Not the greatest way to do an air squat. We really want to keep that core engaged, those glutes tight, really engage and keep your hamstrings nice and taut as you're coming down. Weight in the heels, and as you're coming up, I want to see everything come up at the same time. So those are just some basic movement standards that I wanted to cover in today's Movement Tuesday. So hope that helps, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.